The Zelgari Imperium watched Earth for almost 1 year. They were a powerful alien group that wanted new planets. Commander Tark led this mission from his ship called the Void Cleaver. The ship stayed far enough away that Earth's tools couldn't find it. "Look at these buildings," said Science Officer Mrek, pointing to moving pictures of Earth schools. The small humans line up, do exercises together, and study in organized ways. These must be places where they train fighters. Tark looked at the images with his 4 eyes. The Zelgari had tough blue skin and were much taller than humans. "We should take some of these trainees," he said. "We can learn how strong humans are before we attack their planet." Mrek agreed. The smaller ones appear to be new recruits. They have no marks of rank, and the older ones give them orders. That night, 3 small ships flew down to Earth. They landed near a school in South Korea. The aliens wore dark armor that helped them move quietly. They entered the building where young humans slept during a school trip. "Select the smallest ones," ordered Captain Drell, who led the team. "They will fight less and tell us more." The aliens moved through the hallways. Their breathing sounded strange in the quiet building. They found rooms with sleeping children. With quick movements, they took 12 children from their beds. The aliens used special tools to keep the children asleep during the capture. But something went wrong. A night guard saw strange lights and called for help. Soon, teachers woke up. When they saw the aliens taking children, they didn't run away as the Zelgari expected. One teacher named Ms. Park saw an alien carrying 2 small children. She didn't think about danger. She ran at the alien, screaming. The alien was 3 times her size, with weapons she had never seen. But she didn't care. "Put them down," she shouted, hitting the alien with a chair she grabbed. The alien was so surprised it almost dropped the children. Another teacher, Mr. Kim, tried to block the aliens from leaving. He stood in a doorway, throwing anything he could find at them. "You can't take our students," he yelled. The aliens had to use sleep gas to stop the adults. They were confused by how these humans acted. On their planet, training officers didn't care so much about new recruits. "Humans are strange," Captain Drell told his team as they carried the sleeping children to their ships. "Why do the trainers fight so hard for these dumb recruits?" The ships took off quickly as police cars arrived with flashing lights. Within minutes, they were back in space, heading to the Void Cleaver. Commander Tark waited as the captured humans were brought to special rooms on the ship. The children were still sleeping from the gas. "Did you have any problems?" Tark asked Captain Drell. "The adult humans reacted in ways we didn't expect," Drell said. "They attacked us to protect these young recruits." One small female almost broke Soldier Vex's arm. Tark walked around the sleeping children. "Perhaps these young ones are more important than we thought. Maybe they are special troops in training." Science Officer Mrek scanned the children with a hand tool. "They are very young. Their bodies are not fully grown. But their brains show interesting patterns. Perhaps they are being trained for special mental skills." "Keep them asleep until we have rooms ready," ordered Tark. "I want to study them awake. We need to know what makes these young humans so valuable that adults would risk their lives for them." The ship's doctor, Nilla, looked worried. "Commander, I've studied some human data from their information networks. I think these might be what humans call children, not soldiers or recruits." "What is it, children?" asked Tark. "Young humans who are still growing," said Nilla. "They go to these buildings to learn, not to train for war." Tark waved his long hand. "That makes no sense. Why have such organized training if not for war? Why make them exercise and study on strict times? No, these must be military trainees." The children were placed in rooms with clear walls so the aliens could watch them. The rooms had beds, tables, and some objects the aliens thought humans used. "When they wake up, we will begin tests," said Tark. "We need to know how strong humans are, how they think, and what makes them dangerous." On Earth, the situation quickly became serious. The school called parents. The parents called police. The police called the military. Soon, the highest leaders of many countries were meeting. Unknown beings have taken 12 children, said South Korea's leader to other world leaders on emergency calls. We have video of these creatures. They are not human. For the first time in history, all Earth's countries agreed on one thing. They would do anything to get those children back. In space, the children started to wake up. The aliens watched with great interest as the first child, a boy named Min, opened his eyes and saw the strange blue faces looking at him through the clear wall. Min screamed. The other children woke up hearing him. Some cried. Some shouted for their parents. Some just stared with wide, frightened eyes. Begin recording their behavior, Tark ordered. I want to know everything about these human trainees. The aliens didn't know they had just made the biggest mistake possible. Taking children wasn't just wrong to humans. It was wrong to almost every thinking species in the galaxy. And somewhere, not far away, a ship from the Galactic Concord had picked up Earth's emergency signals. They were coming to investigate. When they discovered what the Zelgari had done, everything would change. The aliens watched the frightened children with scientific interest, not understanding that they had just started a chain of events that would bring humans into the galactic community and bring serious trouble to the Zelgari Imperium. The first day in the alien ship was filled with tears. The 12 Korean children huddled together in their large, clear-walled room. Some cried for their parents. Others sat in shocked silence. Are they going to eat us? Whispered Da, the youngest boy at just 10 years old. If they wanted to eat us, they would have done it already, said Sue, trying to sound brave despite her trembling hands. The room had strange beds that floated slightly above the floor. The lights came from nowhere and everywhere at once. There was a table with odd-shaped food items that none of the children dared to touch. The blue aliens watched them constantly through the clear walls. The children could see the aliens taking notes and talking to each other in deep, rumbling voices. By the second day, hunger forced the children to try the food. It tasted bland, but gave them strength. They also discovered a water fountain that activated when they waved their hands over it. Hyun, a small 12-year-old boy with thoughtful eyes, had been watching everything quietly. While other children cried or slept, he studied the aliens. He noticed how they moved, how they communicated, and most importantly, how they reacted to the children. Listen, Hyun finally said, gathering everyone in a circle. These aliens took us because they think we're something we're not. They don't understand what children are. What do you mean? Asked Jinna, a tall girl who was good at math and science. Her straight black hair was tied back with a piece of cloth she'd torn from her sleeve. Look at how they watch us, Hyun pointed out. They seem confused when we cry, but they also seem confused when we play or laugh. I think they expected us to act differently. Gina nodded slowly. You're right. When Min threw that tantrum yesterday, the big alien with the marking on its head looked completely shocked. They don't know what humans are like, Hyun whispered. We can use that to our advantage. The children began to organize themselves. Gina started making notes using a stylus-like object she found in the room. She wrote on the smooth surface of one wall, which seemed to hold the marks temporarily before they faded. They flinch when we make sudden movements, she observed after several hours of watching. And they really don't like loud noises. The tall one with 3 stripes on its arm backs away whenever I stare at it too long, added Sun, a strong boy who was the fastest runner in their school. By the 3rd day, the children had formed a plan. They would work together to learn everything possible about their captors while finding ways to communicate with each other that the aliens couldn't understand. Meanwhile, in the control room of the Void Cleaver, Science Officer Mrek was showing Commander Tark the latest observations. Their behavior continues to perplex me, Mrek said, displaying video of the children playing a clapping game they had invented. These military trainees show no consistent discipline. One moment they appear to be practicing some form of coordination exercise, and the next they collapse in what appears to be emotional distress or strange vocalizations. The strange vocalizations was laughter, as Dai had told a joke that made the other children giggle uncontrollably. Perhaps this is some form of stress response, suggested Commander Tark, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he watched the videos. Their training must be in early stages. Dr. Nella joined them, looking concerned. Commander, I've been analyzing their biological readings. These humans are not fully developed. Their bones are still growing, their neural pathways still forming. They are immature specimens. What are you suggesting? Tark's voice had an edge to it. I believe we have taken their young, Nella said quietly. Not trainees or soldiers. Their equivalent of offspring. A heavy silence fell over the control room. That's impossible, Tark finally said. Why would offspring be in a training facility? Why would they be subjected to regimented schedules and instruction? Different species have different customs for raising young, Nella explained. I've been studying their data transmissions. Humans place their young in these buildings to learn information and skills. It's called education, not military training. Mrek shifted uncomfortably. Commander, I believe we may have made a significant error in our assessment. Back in the holding room, Hyun had made an important discovery. While making different noises to see how the aliens reacted, he noticed that high-pitched singing made the overhead lights flicker slightly. Everyone, he whispered to the group that evening, I need you to sing with me, the highest note you can. The children looked confused but trusted Hyun. Together, they sang a high note. The lights pulsed visibly. Again, Hyun instructed, but this time, try to match my exact pitch. They tried several times until all 12 children were singing the same high note. The lights not only flickered but dimmed significantly. It's working, Gina said excitedly when they stopped. The lights respond to sound waves. Not just any sound, Hyun explained. Specific pitches. If we can figure out which pitches control what, maybe we can affect other things too. Over the next day, the children practiced different songs, mapping out which notes caused which reactions in their environment. They discovered one pitch that made a slight vibration in the clear walls, and another that seemed to cause static in the aliens' communication devices. The aliens grew increasingly confused by the children singing. What had started as a terrified group of captives was transforming into an organized, curious collective that seemed to be studying their captors as much as they were being studied. They're singing again, reported a guard to Commander Tark. But it seems purposeful. They maintain specific tones for exact durations. Perhaps it's a communication method, suggested Mrek. Or a way to maintain morale, said Tark, still reluctant to accept they might have kidnapped children rather than trainees. What none of the aliens realized was that the children were not just adapting to captivity. They were actively working to understand and potentially manipulate their environment. Led by Hyun's quiet intelligence and Gina's methodical observations, the 12 children had begun to transform their fear into determination. And somewhere in the vast ship, a message was being received from another vessel approaching their position, a representative of the Galactic Concord who had picked up Earth's desperate transmissions about missing children. The Zelgari were about to learn just how serious their mistake had been. Earth sent messages into space on all radio channels. The messages repeated day and night in many languages. Unknown aliens have taken our children. This is an act of war. Return them unharmed immediately. Most humans didn't expect any answer. They thought the messages might reach the kidnappers, but no one expected help from space. Humans didn't know they weren't alone in the galaxy. But far away, the messages reached listening posts of the Galactic Concord. The Concord was a group of peaceful alien species who worked together. They had been watching Earth for many years, waiting for humans to develop space travel before making contact. The emergency message changed everything. Play it again, ordered Ambassador Lyra. She was a Thalassian, a species known for wisdom and calm thinking. Thalassians had pale purple skin, large eyes, and 4 arms. They live 3 times longer than humans. The message played again in the command room of her ship, the Peacekeeper. 12 children taken, alien beings, approximately 4 meters tall with blue skin. We demand their return. Lyra's face showed deep concern. Find the source of this abduction, she ordered her crew. Scan for any non-human ships near Earth. Her ship's captain, Zenith, worked quickly. We have detected a Zelgari vessel in orbit around Earth, he reported. It is the Void Cleaver, a research and reconnaissance ship. Lyra closed her eyes briefly. The Zelgari. Of course. The Zelgari Imperium was always causing problems. They wanted to take over more worlds and didn't care about Concord rules. Set course to intercept them before they leave Earth's system, she commanded. Maximum speed. The Peacekeeper was faster than any Zelgari ship. Within hours, they caught up to the Void Cleaver, which was preparing to leave Earth's orbit. Hail the Zelgari vessel, Lyra ordered. On the bridge of the Void Cleaver, Commander Tark was surprised to see a Concord ship approaching. Why is the Concord here? He growled. Earth is not part of their territory. They're hailing us, Commander, said his communications officer. Accept the transmission, Tark ordered. He stood tall, his blue skin darkening slightly with annoyance. A large hologram appeared on his bridge. Ambassador Lyra's image looked down at him with cold eyes. Commander Tark of the Zelgari Imperium, she began in a controlled voice. Our scans indicate you are holding human offspring aboard your vessel. Tark was surprised, but didn't show it. The Concord shouldn't care about a primitive planet like Earth. We have captured military trainees for study before our planned exploration of the planet, he said proudly. The Zelgari Imperium has every right to assess potential territories. Lyra's calm expression suddenly changed. Her large eyes widened, and her voice rose in volume. You tok human children prisoners. Her composed manner completely disappeared. That's insane. Tark blinked several times, confused by her reaction. In his 20 years as a commander, he had never seen a Thalassian lose control like this. They are being studied, not harmed, he explained, as if that made everything acceptable. You fool, Lyra said, her voice now low and dangerous. You've violated the most sacred principle of galactic law. No offspring of any species may be harmed or taken from their guardians. The humans aren't part of the Concord yet, but this action alone justifies their immediate protection status. For the first time, Tark felt afraid. He knew the laws of the Concord, of course, but hadn't thought they would apply to humans. Humans weren't members of the galactic community. Ambassador, there seems to be a misunderstanding, he tried to explain. These humans were in a training facility. They follow strict routines. They were clearly being prepared for military service. That is a school, Lyra said slowly, as if explaining to a child. Humans educate their young in group settings. Did none of your researchers study basic human culture before you kidnapped their children? Tark looked at Science Officer Mrek, who lowered his eyes in shame. We focused on their defense capabilities, Mrek admitted quietly. Lyra's hologram seemed to grow larger. Listen carefully, Commander Tark. You will keep those children safe and comfortable. You will not leave Earth's system. In one Earth rotation, I will board your vessel with my team. We will return the children to their planet and explain to humans that your actions do not represent the civilized species of the galaxy. And if I refuse? Tark asked, though he already knew the answer. Then the Zelgari Imperium will face sanctions that will cripple your economy for a generation, Lyra stated flatly. And you personally will face trial for crimes against sentient offspring. The penalty is life imprisonment on Isolation Moon. The transmission ended abruptly. Tark stood frozen for several moments. His ship could possibly outrun the Concord vessel, but not without engaging faster-than-light travel, which would harm the children on board. And if they harmed the children, the penalty would be even worse. Commander, Mrek asked nervously, what are your orders? Tark sat heavily in his command chair. Contact our government. Explain the situation. He paused. And improve conditions for the Hugh. For the children. Give them better food. Entertainment. Whatever they need. On the Peacekeeper, Ambassador Lyra was preparing for the most important first contact in her long career. Usually, meeting a new species happened after careful planning, cultural study, and diplomatic preparation. Now she would meet humans while returning their kidnapped children. We need to contact Earth directly, she told her team. They need to know their children are safe and will be returned. What language should we use? Asked her communications expert. All of them, Lyra replied. Send messages in every human language we've cataloged. Make it simple. We are friends. We have found your children. They are alive and will be returned soon. We are not connected to those who took them. As the Peacekeeper maintained position near the Void Cleaver, Lyra studied everything known about human culture. One fact stood out clearly. Humans valued their children above almost everything else. Taking children was considered one of the worst possible crimes in human society. The Zelgari couldn't have chosen a worse way to introduce themselves to humans. She told Captain Zenith, they've guaranteed that humans will enter galactic society seeing the Zelgari as monsters. Perhaps that's for the best, Zenith replied. Humans should know who their real enemies are from the start. Lyra nodded slowly. Prepare a shuttle for tomorrow. I will personally escort those children home and formally welcome humanity to the galactic community. Meanwhile, on Earth, governments worldwide were shocked to receive messages from a second alien group. After days of fear and anger, there was suddenly hope. The children might come home. And aboard the Void Cleaver, 12 children continued their quiet resistance, unaware that help was now just hours away. For the first time in human history, the world was truly united. Countries that had fought wars against each other for hundreds of years now worked together. They had one goal, to save 12 children. Military bases around the world prepared their best weapons. Scientists worked day and night to understand the alien technology they had glimpsed in video footage of the abduction. World leaders met in emergency sessions. We must be ready to fight, said one general in a global meeting. But we must also be smart, said South Korea's president. If these new aliens can help us, we should work with them. The Concorde's messages had been received on Earth with mixed feelings. Many people didn't believe them. Others thought it might be a trick. But when the Concorde sent images of the Zelgari ship and explained that they had found the children, hope began to grow. Their second message included details only the kidnapped children would know, said one intelligence officer. Names, school information, even what some children were wearing. This Concorde group seems to be telling the truth. Earth agreed to allow the Concorde ship to approach with the children, but every military base kept their weapons ready, just in case. In space, Ambassador Lyra watched Earth's response through the Concorde's monitoring systems. Look at how quickly they organized, she told her crew. Thousands of ships repositioned, millions of messages coordinated, and all for 12 offspring. Is that unusual? Asked a young crew member. Very, Lyra replied. Most species protect their young, of course, but humans seem willing to risk planetary war for just a few children. Their protective instinct is remarkable even by galactic standards. Captain Zenith nodded. I've studied over 200 species during first contact, and I've never seen this level of unity in a pre-Concorde civilization. Usually, they're still fighting each other when we meet them. Lyra looked at the images of Earth, glowing blue and green below them. Humans will be powerful allies if we earn their trust, and terrible enemies if we don't. The Zelgari have made a grave mistake. Meanwhile, on the Void Cleaver, things were changing quickly. Since Ambassador Lyra's message, Commander Tark had ordered better conditions for the children. They now had comfortable beds, better food, and more space. But the children had already started their own plans. Hyun had discovered something important about the room where they were kept. The air comes in through these small holes, he whispered to the others when no aliens were watching. And the holes are bigger in the bathroom area. Son, the strongest boy, stood on Dad's shoulders in the bathroom, while the other children sang loudly to distract the guards. He pushed against the metal cover over the ventilation hole. It moved slightly. I think I can open it, he whispered when he came down. Good, said Hyun. Tonight, we'll try to get someone small through there. Maybe we can find a way out. In another part of the ship, Jinnah was having an unexpected conversation. She had been taken to a medical room for what the aliens called routine examination. But unlike the other aliens, the young technician named Greg seemed different. Less cold, more curious. Does it hurt? Jinnah asked as Greg used a scanner on her arm. Greg seemed surprised that she spoke directly to him. No, it just reads your body information. Jinnah nodded. Why did you take us from our school? Greg's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of discomfort. The commander thought you were military trainees. We didn't know you were children. What happens to children on your planet? Jinnah asked. We don't have children, Greg said awkwardly. Everyone has children, Jinnah said. Otherwise, how do new people come? Zelgari are grown in special places, Greg explained. We emerge fully formed, with knowledge already in our minds. We don't have a childhood. Jinnah thought about this. That's sad. You never played, or had parents who loved you. Greg had never considered this before. Why do the bigger humans care so much about you? He asked, changing the subject. Because that's what adults do, Jinnah replied simply. They protect children. Don't your people do that? The question bothered Greg deeply. When he finished the examination, he didn't take Jinnah back to the holding room right away. Wait here, he said, and left the room briefly. When he returned, he had a small device. This is a game we play for mind training. Would you like to try it? Jinnah took the cube-shaped object. When she touched it, colored lights appeared on its surface. She quickly figured out it was a puzzle game. She smiled for the first time since being taken. Thank you, she said. That simple thanks affected Greg more than he expected. When he returned Jinnah to the other children, he went directly to the ship's break room where other crew members were eating. I've been thinking, he said to his fellow technicians. What we're doing is wrong. Following orders is never wrong, said an older technician. But taking young ones from their caregivers? Greg persisted. Even animals on most planets protect their young. How can we call ourselves advanced if we do this? His words struck a chord with many crew members. Throughout the day, similar conversations happened across the ship. By evening, a group of 20 crew members approached Commander Tark's office. We request to speak with you, Commander, said the group's leader, a senior engineer named Vost. Tark looked up from his reports. What is this about? We cannot continue this mission. Sir, Vost said firmly. Taking offspring is against our own moral code, even if we didn't recognize these humans as offspring at first. Tark stood up, anger showing on his face. You dare question my orders. We respectfully refuse to participate further in holding these children, Vost continued. We will not be part of something so wrong. This is mutiny, Tark shouted. No, sir. We will perform all other duties, but we cannot help imprison children. More crew members joined the group outside Tark's office. Soon, almost half the ship's personnel had gathered. Tark realized he was losing control of his crew. At the same time, in the children's holding area, Hyun's plan was moving forward. While the guard was distracted by an argument among the crew outside, Da, the smallest child, climbed through the ventilation opening they had widened. Be careful, Hyun whispered as the boy disappeared into the dark tunnel. Dae crawled through the narrow space, following the flow of air. He had always been good at hiding in small places during games. Now that skill might save them all. Back on Earth, preparations were being made to receive the children. The Concorde had agreed to bring them to a neutral location, a large field near their school where medical teams, parents, and some military personnel would wait. The world held its breath, hoping for the children's safe return while preparing for the worst. Humanity stood united, ready to meet the wider galaxy for the first time. Morning sunlight touched the field where Earth forces gathered. Soldiers, doctors, parents, and government officials waited with nervous energy. Above them, two alien ships hung in the sky, visible even in daylight. "The Concorde shuttle is preparing to land," announced a military officer through a loudspeaker. "Everyone stay in position." In space, Ambassador Lyra's shuttle approached the Zelgari ship. She had planned to board the Void Cleaver, secure the children, and bring them home. But something unexpected was happening on the alien vessel. Little Dai had spent hours crawling through air tunnels. He found his way to a control room where he watched the aliens argue among themselves. He learned that help was coming from another alien group called the Concorde. When he crawled back to tell the others, he also brought news that many Zelgari were on their side. "They're fighting about us," Dad told the group. "Many of them think taking us was wrong." Hyun had made his decision. "We're leaving now," he told the others. "Dai knows a path through the air tunnels that leads near the place where ships come in and out." The children gathered their few belongings. Gina still had the puzzle cube Greg had given her. She put it in her pocket and nodded to Hyun. "I'm ready." Just as the children were preparing to climb into the ventilation system, the door to their room slid open. They froze, expecting guards to stop them. Instead, Greg stood there with two other Zelgari. "Come," he said simply. "We're taking you home." At the same time, on the bridge of the Void Cleaver, Commander Tark faced growing pressure. Half his crew refused to follow orders regarding the children. The Concorde ship was approaching. And now, Earth forces were visible on the planet below, gathered in large numbers. A message came from his home government. "Return, humans, immediately HFY. Diplomatic disaster. Concorde threatening ANCTI violence." Alarms began ringing throughout the ship as security detected unauthorized movement near the shuttle bay. Tark watched his screens as cameras showed Greg and other crew members leading the children toward a shuttle. For a moment, anger filled him. How dare his crew disobey him? But then he saw something that changed his mind. The children were walking calmly with his crew. Some were even holding hands with the Zelgari. There was no fear, no force being used. His crew wasn't just helping the children escape, they were working together. Tark stood up straight. "This ends now," he announced to his bridge crew. "We return the human offspring immediately and face whatever consequences follow." He pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All crew, this is Commander Tark. Prepare Shuttle 1 for immediate departure to Earth's surface. We will return the human children ourselves, with dignity." Greg and the other Rebel crew members were surprised when the shuttle bay doors opened automatically for them. They were even more surprised when Tark's voice came through the speakers. "Proceed with the children. I'm right behind you." Minutes later, the shuttle launched from the Void Cleaver, carrying all 12 children, Greg, and several other crew members who had bonded with them. Commander Tark himself piloted the vessel. As they descended toward Earth, they were met by Ambassador Lyra's shuttle. The two vessels communicated briefly, then continued down together. On Earth, tension grew as two alien shuttles approached. Soldiers raised their weapons. Parents called out for their children. But the landing was peaceful. The doors of the Zelgari shuttle opened first. Commander Tark stepped out, followed by the children. They walked out not as terrified captives, but as a unified group, with Hyun and Gina leading them. Some children were even waving farewell to certain Zelgari crew members. "Mom, Dad," Dai shouted, seeing his parents. But he didn't run to them immediately. He stayed with the group, walking calmly as Hyun had instructed them. From the second shuttle emerged Ambassador Lyra. Her purple skin and 4 arms caused a new wave of surprise among the humans. She approached the children and bowed slightly. "Children of Earth," she said in perfect Korean, "I represent the Galactic Concorde. We apologize for what happened to you and welcome humanity to the greater community of intelligent life." The reunion that followed brought tears to many eyes, even some Zelgari who had never cried before. Parents rushed to embrace their children. Doctors checked each child carefully. Government officials began long conversations with both alien groups. In a quiet moment, Gina approached Greg before he returned to his shuttle. "Here," she said, offering him back the puzzle cube. Greg gently pushed it back toward her. "Keep it, to remember that even those who seem different can be friends." Jaina smiled. "Will we see you again?" "I think so," Greg replied. The galaxy just got smaller for all of us. Commander Tark faced justice from both human authorities and the Galactic Concord, but his decision to return the children voluntarily reduced his punishment. Instead of imprisonment, he was assigned to work as part of the team that would introduce humans to galactic society. 3 months later, Ambassador Lyra stood before the United Nations. Representatives from every country on Earth listened as she spoke. "Your species' fierce protection of your young is considered one of the most respected traits in galactic society," she told them. While this first contact was unfortunate, it revealed to the galaxy humanity's greatest strength: your unwavering dedication to your children. This quality alone marks you as a species worthy of respect. The 12 children became famous worldwide. They were interviewed, studied, and celebrated. Hyun was asked many times how he had stayed so brave. "I wasn't brave," he always answered honestly. "I was scared. But being scared and doing what needs to be done anyway. That's what humans do." Gina became particularly interested in alien cultures. She kept in touch with Greg through special communication devices provided by the Concord. She learned that because of their experience with human children, the Zelgari were now reconsidering their own reproduction methods. "Perhaps we've been missing something important by not having childhood," Greg told her in one message. 1 year after the abduction, Earth launched its first official delegation to the Galactic Concord's headquarters. Among the representatives were Hyun and Gina, now honored ambassadors despite their young age. As their ship left Earth's atmosphere, Hyun looked back at the blue planet growing smaller behind them. "We thought we were just trying to get home," he said quietly to Gina. "But we ended up helping Earth find its place in something much bigger." Gina nodded, holding the puzzle cube that had become her lucky charm. "And we taught the galaxy an important lesson." "What's that?" asked Ken. "Never, ever mess with human children," she replied with a smile. "The adults get really upset about that."